As my daughter Emma gazed at the stack of presents in front of my sister's kids, the birthday cake remained untouched on the table. I had worked extra shifts for 3 weeks in order to pay for the art materials she had requested, and it was her 8th birthday. I couldn't afford wrapping paper this month, so I carefully wrapped the used winter coat I'd purchased at the charity shop in newspaper. Victoria, my sister, moved into my little flat as if it were her own. Her high-end shoes clack on my worn-out linoleum floor. Mason and Madison, her twins, trailed following with shopping bags from shops I couldn't even pass without feeling uncomfortable. Victoria said, not sounding contrite at all, "Sorry we're late." My mother came next, kissing Victoria's cheek and hardly looking at Emma. The traffic from the country club was absolutely dreadful. "Is that the new Chanel? Spring collection. Victoria, darling, you look stunning." Victoria preened and spun around to flaunt the suit, which most likely cost more than my rent each month. Robert surprised me last week. My father entered last and saw the simple cake I had made. I swallowed the usual ache and said, "But I suppose you did your best." "Store-bought would have been better, Jennifer." "That's nice, dear." Mom murmured absently as she started to approach Victoria's kids. Emma helped me decorate it. She's very proud of it. Emma put her little hand in mine and said, "Now, where are my favorite grandchildren? Come give Grandma hugs." I tried to put all of my love into that little gesture by giving it a gentle squeeze. Madison bounced enthusiastically and said, "Can we do presents now?" Victoria took out beautifully wrapped parcels from her luxury bags and said, "Of course, sweetheart." "These are for Mason and Madison. We couldn't wait for their actual birthday next month, so we're celebrating today." My stomach fell. Emma's birthday celebration took place here. "Victoria," I said cautiously, "maybe we could do Emma's presents first since it's her birthday." Victoria dismissively waved her hand. "Oh, don't be so sensitive, Jennifer. The kids don't mind sharing the celebration." "Right, Emma." Emma nodded, tears welling up in her eyes that she was afraid to show. Mason opened his first gift, displaying the newest game system. When Madison opened hers, she discovered a kid-sized but distinctly real designer purse. Present after present appeared. Tablets, jewelry, and pricey clothing with tags still on made me feel lightheaded. Victoria gushed, "Look what Mommy and Daddy got you." With a nod of approval, my father said, "Only the best for our babies." "That's how you provide for children, Jennifer. You should take notes." "I provide what I can," I responded gently. "Needs and deserves are 2 different things," Mom said, arranging Madison's new jewelry. "Emma has everything she needs." After seeing my daughter's face get darker for 30 minutes, Victoria eventually pointed to Emma's little stack of gifts and said, "Every child deserves nice things." With the newspaper crinkling, I gave Emma her gift and said, "I suppose we should let the birthday girl open her gifts now. What did you manage this year, Jennifer?" With a genuine smile on her face, Emma gently opened the art materials and said, "Go ahead, sweetie." "They're perfect for your paintings," I murmured, my heart overflowing in spite of everything. "Mom, these are the watercolors I wanted, and the brushes." Leaning over, Victoria studied the boxes. "Oh, store brand. Well, I suppose they'll do for a hobby." "Actually," I continued, taking out the coat, "this is your main present, Emma. I know your old one was getting small." Emma held out the coat, which was made of blue pea and had replacement buttons and somewhat faded fabric. However, it was robust and warm, and I had spent hours cleaning it. Emma's voice broke as she murmured, "It's beautiful, Mom." The room was filled with the harsh sound of Victoria's laughter. "Jennifer, you can't be serious. That's clearly used." "It's perfectly good," I argued. "Second-hand clothes for a birthday present?" My father shook his head. "It'll keep her warm all winter." Victoria took out her phone and took a picture, saying, "That's just sad." Madison pulled her mother's sleeve and said, "Wait until the country club sees this." Poor kids get poor gifts, I suppose. It's just the way of the world. Mommy, why is Emma's coat old? Victoria spoke loudly enough for everyone to hear. Because Aunt Jennifer makes different choices than we do, darling. With a theatrical sigh, my mother said, some people prioritize career and success. Others just get by. If you just accepted that job at Robert's firm when he offered, Jennifer. But no, you had to be independent. That job required a finance degree I don't have. I muttered, my fists tightening. Details. Victoria dismissively waved. Robert could have worked around it, but you were too proud to accept family help. And look where that pride got you, giving your daughter trash for her birthday. Emma gripped her used coat as her tears finally started to fall silently down her cheeks. With a firmer voice, I added, it's not trash. Victoria pointed around my little flat and said, isn't it though? This whole place screams failure, Jennifer. The cracked ceiling, the furniture from who knows where, the fact that you're still renting at 32 years old. When are you going to accept that you're just not cut out for success? I have a job, I answered. My father said, I support my daughter. Barely. What is it this month? Still that assistant position. I work in corporate, I said carefully. Victoria laughed again. Corporate what? Corporate coffee making? Corporate file organizing? Come on, Jennifer. We all know you're probably answering phones or something equally menial. My phone buzzed. I glanced at it. Multiple notifications, all marked urgent. Must be nice to check personal messages during family time, Mom sniffed. Victoria's phone rang. She glanced at it, her expression shifting to surprise. Oh, it's from Robert's company. I applied for that VP of marketing position last month. She answered, putting it on speaker. Hello, Mrs. Harrison? This is Sandra from Human Resources at Harrison Industries. Yes, Victoria's face lit up. I've been waiting for your call. I assume this is about my VP position. Pause. Actually, Mrs. Harrison, we're calling to inform you that your application has been rejected. Victoria's smile froze. Excuse me, your qualifications don't meet our current requirements. Additionally, the new CEO has implemented stricter hiring policies. We appreciate your interest, but we won't be moving forward. New CEO. Victoria's voice pitched higher. Robert didn't mention a new CEO. Who is it? The announcement goes public tomorrow morning. I'm not at liberty to discuss details. Thank you for your time. The line went dead. Victoria stared at her phone. What new CEO? Robert owns that company. My phone buzzed again. I looked down at the message from the board. Emergency meeting in 1 hour. Media questions about transition. That's strange, my father frowned. Robert's been CEO for 15 years. Maybe he's retiring, Mom suggested. Victoria was already dialing. Robert, what's this about a new CEO? Some woman from HR just rejected my application and what? Slow down. What do you mean you sold the company? We all watched as Victoria's face went from confused to pale to horrified. Majority shareholder? Since when? Robert, you told me you owned. She pulled the phone from her ear, Robert's voice audible even from across the room. Don't you dare hang up on me. But the line was already dead. My phone rang. I recognized the number from our legal team. I need to take this. Excuse me. I stepped into my bedroom, closing the door. Jennifer Chen speaking. Ms. Chen, we have 3 media outlets requesting interviews about tomorrow's announcement. How would you like us to proceed? Standard protocol. Press release at 9:00 a.m. interviews after the stock market opens. Make sure all documentation is filed. Already done. Congratulations again, Ms. Chen. The board is thrilled to have you as CEO. I hung up and returned to the living room. Victoria was frantically scrolling through her phone, my parents hovering over her shoulder. It's already on the business news sites, Victoria said, her voice shaking. Harrison Industries announces leadership transition. Majority shareholder takes control. CEO Robert Harrison stepping down. but it doesn't say who the new CEO is. Maybe it's that Chinese investor Robert mentioned last year, my father said. The one buying up tech companies. I cleared my throat. Actually, about that. All eyes turned to me. I held up my phone, showing the press release draft. The announcement goes live tomorrow at 9:00 a.m., but I can tell you now, the new CEO of Harrison Industries is Jennifer Chen. The room went completely silent. Victoria laughed, but it sounded hysterical. That's not funny, Jennifer. I'm not joking. I opened my email, turning the screen to show the official board resolution. I've been the majority shareholder for 6 years. Robert knew. He agreed to stay on as public-facing CEO while I built my position. As of tomorrow morning, I'm taking operational control. My mother's face had gone white. That's impossible. You're an assistant. I was never an assistant, Mom. I'm the director of strategic acquisitions. I've been working in private equity since before Emma was born. The corporate job you all mocked, I've been buying controlling interests in mid-size companies and restructuring them. Harrison Industries was my largest acquisition. Victoria's hands were shaking. You're lying. You live in this tiny apartment. You buy second-hand clothes. Because I invest every extra dollar, I said calmly. My salary is 7 figures, but I live modestly because I'm building generational wealth for Emma, not showing off at country clubs. My father sank into a chair. 7 figures? This year's compensation package is $3 million, not including stock options, I confirmed. I could afford a mansion, Dad. I choose not to. Emma and I are happy here. But the thrift store coat, Mom gestured weakly. It's a perfectly good coat that Emma likes, I said. She doesn't need designer labels to know she's loved, unlike some children who get showered with expensive gifts to make up for absent parents. Victoria flinched. The job Robert offered me 7 years ago, I continued. I turned it down because I was negotiating to buy 40% of his company. He needed capital to expand. I provided it. Over the years, I acquired more shares from smaller investors. Robert maintained operational control and his CEO title, but I own 51%. My phone buzzed again. Another message from the transition team. Victoria, about your job application. I said, meeting my sister's eyes. You were rejected because your resume listed 3 years of marketing consultant work that Robert has confirmed was actually you showing up to his office twice a month to have lunch. You lack a degree in the subject, a portfolio of your work, and real marketing experience. You don't meet our minimum requirements. Robert said I could. Robert doesn't make hiring decisions anymore. I do, I said. And at Harrison Industries, we don't engage in nepotism. Victoria's phone rang once more. She picked it up, listened for a while, and then became even paler. The country club? It's Victoria Harrison, yes. Are you saying that our membership is being reviewed? My husband's company sponsored our membership, she said, her face breaking as she heard. And if his business relationship shifts? We're losing our country club membership, she said as she hung up, tears now running down her cheeks. I said, Harrison Industries will no longer fund executive lifestyle expenses, country club memberships, luxury car allowances, personal shopping budgets, and other standard cost-cutting measures. Robert's corporate sponsorship is being terminated. Robert may use his new earnings to buy such items if he wants them. New salary. He's staying on as a senior consultant at $180,000 annually, my father said softly. Quite generous, considering he'll mostly be transitioning clients and institutional knowledge, but significantly less than his previous $2 million, Victoria said, breaking down in tears. We can't afford our house on $180,000. The mortgage alone is $8,000 a month. You'll need to downsize, I stated plainly. Many people live comfortably on far less. At last, my mother discovered her voice. You can't do this, Jennifer. Your sister is Victoria. I eventually lost my composure and said, Victoria called my daughter poor in front of everyone. She made fun of a lovingly donated used coat. Because her spouse had a title, she acted superior and denigrated Emma and me for years. A title that came up as a result of my permission. Emma was still clutching her coat, and her eyes were big as I approached her. I knelt down and told her, this coat is special. I picked it with you in mind, not because it's brand new or pricey. It's the same hue as your favorite outfit. Because you like flowers, the buttons are fashioned like little flowers. When we stroll to the park to feed the ducks, it will also keep you warm. Emma wrapped her arms around my neck. Mommy, I adore it. I adore it so much. I embraced her tightly before turning to face my family. I said, you're all free to go now. This time, Emma and I had a birthday to properly celebrate. Victoria picked up her luggage, her kids trailing after her in confusion. My mother opened her lips to speak as my parents looked at each other. Yes, Jennifer, we can talk about it. Mom, there's nothing to talk about. For years, you've been clear about your priorities. Today, I've made mine plain. With a quiet click, the door closed behind them as they departed. Emma's tear-streaked face broke into the first real grin of the day as she gazed up at me. Mommy, are you really a CEO? Sweetheart, I really am. That's very awesome. She gave her coat a hug. Can I keep my coat on? Despite your wealth. Emma, we're not wealthy, we're comfortable. Indeed, you are free to wear your coat. Are you fond of it? I adore it. The buttons are flawless. She hesitated. Will Aunt Victoria's children be okay, Mommy? My heart tightened. She was still concerned about them despite everything. I reassured her, they'll be fine. Emma nodded and then glanced at her painting materials. They'll learn that family is more important than things, just like you already know. I arranged her new watercolors on the kitchen table and she said, can we paint now, just us? Absolutely. What do you want to paint first? A picture of us. She responded, in our apartment, because I like our home. My phone kept vibrating with messages from attorneys, board members, and media connections as Emma painted, her used coat draped over her chair and her store-brand paints creating something lovely. I would be well known in the corporate world tomorrow. I was simply mom tonight, enjoying my daughter's birthday the way it ought to have been from the beginning. Victoria had observed, poor kids get poor gifts. He didn't know what real riches looked like.